We're taking you on a visit to four of the beautiful villages of the Cotswolds in England: Bibury, Malmesbury, Tetbury, and Lacock. Come along for a wonderful day trip. A short drive in the countryside soon brings us to Bibury. The main attraction here is this splendid row of stone cottages that dates back to the 14th century, in a picturesque setting next to the Coln River and the open meadow in front. Bibury is a small village in a rural setting, with the oval outline showing the location of that row of stone cottages called Arlington Row. We'll be showing you many views of that beautiful site and also taking you to the famous trout farm in the heart of Bibury, with its water features and lush landscaping. The small Coln River is a tributary of the Thames and makes an idyllic setting for the stone houses and the pretty flower gardens of the village, with several bridges for cars and pedestrians connecting the two sides of town, providing easy access to Arlington Row and its spectacular old stone structures. Arlington Row is one of England's most iconic and photographed sites, so famous its picture has been on the UK passport for a decade. Originally built in the 14th century as a monastic wool storehouse, it was a warehouse for wool, and it was converted in the 17th century into a row of cottages for weavers who supplied cloth for the two mills in the area, which made this village very prosperous from the wool trade. It's owned by the National Trust, which restored it in 1975 after early preservation efforts by the Royal College of Arts back in 1929. A view behind the row shows their little backyard gardens, clotheslines, hedges, and some other houses in the neighborhood, a little different perspective from what you get on the front side. This complex of old stone buildings is occupied by tenants who rent their homes from the National Trust. One of these homes, at number 9, is a holiday cottage that you can rent. However, you do have to rent it for a minimum of 3 nights. It's got 2 bedrooms on 2 floors and can house up to 3 guests with a private garden at the rear. Other homes nearby are also built in that classic honey-colored Cotswold stone. Depart with a walk along this boggy water meadow called River, a place where the wool was once hung out to dry and is now a nature reserve. That will lead you to one of England's oldest working trout farms, originally founded in 1902. It has 15 acres of beautiful farmland and springs, with a trout hatchery that produces over 6 million trout every year. Here you can learn about trout or even catch and cook your own dinner. They have a gift shop, offer fishing lessons for beginners, and there's a cafe where you can have lunch or a snack. With all of these lovely features, Bibury is a popular Cotswold visitor attraction that can become very busy on a sunny summer afternoon and even attracts visitors on the coldest winter day. As usual, the best times to come are shoulder season, either April and May or September and October, when the weather is quite nice and the crowds are minimal. Bibury is the first of our 4 Cotswold villages that we're visiting on a day trip from the city of Bath. We're traveling in a small van with our driver guide provided by Mad Max Tours. Continuing along now through the pretty countryside of Wiltshire, heading for the Cotswold town of Malmesbury. And along the way we passed a characteristic cottage with a thatched roof. Malmesbury is set in a rural location typical of Cotswold villages, with a population of about 5,000 and a famous church that dates back to the 12th century. The charming High Street is bursting with an array of independent retailers and eateries, and the town has occasional festivals for music, history, and the arts. This 15th century market cross is one of the country's best preserved, right next to the arch of Birdcage Walk that leads us into the Abbey grounds. This church is always the main focus of any visit to this charming little town. The entrance has some of the most outstanding Romanesque sculptures in all of Britain. The origins of the abbey go back to the 7th century, a time when Malmesbury was one of the oldest market towns in Britain. The church is so old that the first king of all England was buried here in the year 941, honored with this monumental statue. But in the 14th century, the remains of King Athelstan were moved from here to an unknown location. The abbey is still an active parish church, and we happened upon a social event where some folks were gathered to raise money for their charity called Christian Aid.
Taking aid to people who are in need, or religions or whatever.
Great.
And
Excellent.
so we're supporting them.
By the volunteers, such as yourself.
Yes.
And Church of England masses are held here on a regular basis. The church has been rebuilt in various styles over the centuries, from Saxon to Norman and Romanesque to Gothic. Next door is the oldest hotel in England, founded in the early 13th century as lodgings for visiting monks. It's a 4-star hotel with a high-quality restaurant. Continuing along on our Mad Max tour of several Cotswold villages from our home base in the city of Bath. Our guide takes care of all the driving on these narrow country roads. Next, we are heading to the second largest town in the Cotswolds, Tetbury. It's situated in an area of outstanding natural beauty, surrounded by landscapes of gently rolling hills, primarily used for farmlands, including flocks of sheep and grain production. We'll be looking at a few blocks right in the center of town. Our van parks in the nearby lot, and we step out excited to explore yet another Cotswold village. Right away next to the car park, we see the historic cobble lane called Chipping Steps, lined with picturesque stone cottages. The historic market house is at the crossroads at the center of town. It was built in 1655, and it's the most famous building in Tetbury, listed as a historic protected property. We'll see more of this marketplace in a little bit, but first we're going for a walk down the main shopping street of town. Called Long Street, this is where most of the retail action takes place. It's very easy to explore. Just walk all the way down one side and then cross over and walk back up the other side. Although it's called Long Street, it's just 300 meters from one end to the other. The center of Tetbury is especially renowned for its antique shops and independent boutiques. This high street has been named one of the UK's top 10 favorite streets for shopping by Homes and Antiques magazine. You'll find a number of specialist food markets selling cheese, breads, and meats, along with clothing shops, banks, charity shops, estate agents, lifestyle clothing, and there's even a store here that's owned by Prince Charles. It's called Highgrove, featuring organic food and branded homeware. The gardens of the Prince's Highgrove estate are just 2 miles south of town and open to the public with guided tours. The town has many fine stone buildings in various styles, reflecting the architectural fashions of the last 400 years. Completing our walking round trip, returning to the top of Long Street brings us back to the market house. This is one of the best surviving pillared market houses in England, and it has had many uses in the past, sales of wool especially, but also administration of the town, storage of the hand fire pump, and it was even used as a lockup until the police station was built. For centuries, this building has been the hub of town, and markets are still held here regularly on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And that completes our short visit to Tetbury. We're moving along now to the final stop on our Cotswold day trip, the little town of Lacock. It's quite easy and rewarding to enjoy a short walk through this small village, which we will do taking the route shown on the map. Have a look inside the church, walk along the streets, and continue back to where we began. Lacock dates from the 13th century and is full of traditional, half-timbered and stone houses. It's the quintessential English village. One of the first landmarks you'll come across is this 14th century tithe barn, which is a Grade 1 listed historic property. In the Middle Ages, farmers were required to give 1/10 or a tithe of their wool and produce to the established church. As our Mad Max guide explained, independent farmers took their tithes here to store their payments. Lacock was granted market status and developed a thriving wool industry during the Middle Ages. But production of wool ended in the 19th century, depriving the village of its main source of income, which fortunately for us has kept new developments to a minimal, resulting in this historic gem. Our guide described how they've preserved this old-fashioned character.
No TV aerials, there's no satellite dishes, everything, all utilities run underground. And all this is owned by the National Trust. The National Trust is a charity in this country.
On the eastern end of Church Street, we reach the wonderful 14th century medieval church of St. Cyriac. A more extensive rebuild happened in the 15th century that created this perpendicular style Gothic church, which has been maintained and utilized ever since. Just next to it is a workhouse built in 1833 that was a tannery until it closed in 1928, and now it's part of a pottery bed and breakfast. The drying shed survives on the right. Lacock has 3 pubs and a number of shops in its high street, including a grocery store, bakery, gift shops, and a National Trust shop. Sign of the Angel is a late 15th century house which is now an inn, including a pub, restaurant, and rooms for rent. By virtue of its unspoiled appearance, it attracts many visitors, so you might want to get here early in the day or in the off-season. The village has been used repeatedly as a film and television location because of its historic and unspoiled appearance, most notably for the BBC production of Pride and Prejudice, and it was used for scenes in the Downton Abbey TV series and also the movie. The quaint cottages and historic streets also made it perfect for brief appearances in several Harry Potter films and Disney's Beauty and the Beast. The George Inn claims to be the oldest pub in town, in a 14th century building with excellent pub grub and rooms for rent, including free Wi-Fi. The lounge has a medieval fireplace, and out back there's a stone courtyard cafe. By the 19th century, the entire village was owned by Henry Fox Talbot, an early pioneer of photography who invented the negative-positive photographic process. Ownership of the village was passed down through Talbot's family, which later donated everything to the National Trust in 1944. Lacock is in the county of Wiltshire in the Cotswolds. It's about 3 miles south of the town of Chippenham. There is no train service to Lacock, but you can go from London to Chippenham by train in 75 minutes, and then take a 15-minute public bus ride from there into Lacock. Having walked around the little village, we find ourselves back where we started by the Red Lion Inn, a nice place for refreshments in their garden terrace cafe. You can find more videos about other Cotswold villages in our collection, and also a series of films about the main city of Bath. The 4 towns that you have just seen are quite beautiful, but there are dozens of these small villages throughout the Cotswolds that are worthy of exploration. You could easily spend many weeks enjoying this wonderful area. We frequently upload new movies, so please subscribe to our channel and click that little alarm bell so you'll be notified. And if you enjoyed the movie, how about a thumbs up? And we always welcome comments down below. Or if you have questions about the destination, make note and we'll answer them. Thanks for watching.